Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel where you can get entertainment, vlogs, reviews, perspectives, and so much more. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into the Oscar-winning movie Sinners. I'm going to be looking at unanswered questions I have from the movie and talking about what I think would make a good sequel. So come on and join me. Click like if you enjoy this type of content and you think there should be a part 2. Leave a comment. Share this video so that others may join in on the discussion. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook for videos like this and so much more. And now, that being said, let's get to it. So after grossing over $370 million worldwide against a $90 to $100 million budget, Sinners set a record for receiving the most nominations in history at the 98th Annual Academy Awards with a total of 16. The movie won 4 Oscars, including Best Actor, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, which was the first award given to a woman in that category, and Best Original Score. I went to see this movie 5 times. As much as I enjoyed the film, I couldn't help but have some questions in the back of my mind about some of the parts of the story that made me wonder if there might be a part 2 in the works. Now, if you haven't seen Sinners, I do encourage you to watch it first, as there will be spoilers in this video. It's currently streaming on HBO Max. Music. Music is a big part of Sinners. The movie opens talking about the power that music has to conjure spirits from the past and future, to heal, and to attract evil. That sets the tone for the movie and lets us know what we will be experiencing. The blues is the main focus of music in Sinners. It's also the foundation of all music created on U.S. soil, as well as some types of music in other parts of the world. A part 2 could dive into the ways the blues changed over the years. It could maybe even show us how the blues has evolved into other genres of music. But it would have to be done carefully so as not to ruin the movie. Stack and old Sammie, played by blues legend Buddy Guy, have a conversation about how they liked the old way the blues was played without electric guitars. So it would be interesting to see what part music would play in a sequel. Sammie. Old Sammie? Young Sammie? Or would they go back and forth telling the story through flashbacks? In my opinion, I think it would be better if they stayed with the older time period. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think they should stay in the 1930s, or at least close to that time period? Should they move up to the 1990s, or maybe go back further than the 1930s in flashbacks? It was Sammie's musical gifts that attracted the vampires in the first place. How would that play out in a sequel? Sammie's song, I Lied to You, was a song he wrote to his father to say he wouldn't be giving up the blues. I think it would be interesting to see how Sammie's singing and songwriting were shaped by his experience at the juke joint. Loved ones left behind. Therese. Cornbread left behind a very pregnant wife, Therese, who believed she was sending her husband off to make a lot of money. After his disappearance, of course she would want to know what happened to her husband. The only question that would be answered for people would be what happened to Smoke. His body would be recovered along with the members of the KKK that weren't blown to bits. but there would be no bodies to recover of anyone else. So where could they be? Would Therese blame herself for encouraging Cornbread to go with Stack? Would she join in on a search for answers? Would she lead the search maybe? I could see that happening in a part two. Lisa. The last time Lisa saw her parents, Bo and Grace Child, they were getting in the car going to the juke joint. Surely she would want to know what happened to her parents. I could see her going on a journey to get some answers. Maybe she could join Therese to get a search going. Sammie's family. On the one hand, since Sammie chose the blues over serving in ministry alongside his father in church, his father might choose to write Sammie off and give up on him. But Sammie seemed to have a good relationship with his mother. Maybe she and some siblings might want some answers about what happened at the juke joint. How did Sammie get the scratches on his face? What happened to the people at the juke joint? Sammie would be the only living person to know. But after what happened that night, would he want to help? Or would he choose to talk about it in his songs? The Choctaw Indians. The Choctaw Indians wouldn't know anything about what happened at the juke joint, but they've obviously had their own experiences with vampires, particularly Remick, since they were trying to hunt him down. A part two to Sinners could expand their story and tell us what happened to them. How did their music draw the vampires to them? How many of their people were turned into vampires? How many people did they lose? In a part two, the Choctaw Indians might return to Burton Jones' house to retrace their steps in looking for Remick. That was the last place they stopped at before they had to head back home because it was getting too dark. They no doubt would want to continue to hunt down Remick. It would add a lot more action to the story if the Choctaws were helping to chase vampires. Once they found out that Bert and Joan had disappeared, the Choctaws would likely want to expand their search for Remick. The vampires. Remick. When Remick showed up at Bert and Joan's house, he said that the Choctaws took his wife. So does that mean she was a vampire too? That leads me to wonder, how did they become vampires? How long had they been vampires? How many people had they changed to vampires before they even got to the Choctaws? Where did they come from? Ireland? Maybe Remick's story could be expanded and we could find out more about his background. Did he and his wife have any children before being turned? Also, how would Sammie's music have helped Remick reunite with his people? Stack and Mary. Stack and Mary were the only vampires to escape. What happened to them after the juke joint? Where did they go for safety? How many vampires would they have made from that night at the juke joint to 60 years later in 1992, when they visited old Sammie at his nightclub? Would a good and bad vampire storyline work for Sinners? Are vampires selective in who they choose to turn? Would they turn Mary's husband or just kill him? Would vampires ever just kill some people without turning them? Inquiring minds want to know. Conspiracies and Cover Ups. The KKK would likely cover up the shooting. They and the police would most likely want to keep things buried. In the story, we learned that the juke joint, when it was a mill, was a place where the KKK would kill black people. So they likely would join in on the conspiracy theories and anything else that would deflect from what the mill was used for before the Smokestack twins bought it. There likely would be a lot of conspiracies, legends, and other stories told about the juke joint after the disappearance of all those people. But I could see the Choctaws helping to debunk these in the name of hunting vampires. The guitar. The very first shot we see as the movie opens is a piece of artwork of a man with a guitar on his back. Could the instrument itself have been the source of everything? Does the story really begin with the instrument more than the music? Did the guitar itself have some powers? What is the story behind the instrument? Smoke and tells Sammie that the guitar they gave him actually belonged to his and Stack's father. We know that their father was abusive, but had he had some of his own experiences with hates or vampires? It would be interesting to learn some things about that in a sequel. So there you have it, guys. That's my deep dive and what I think a part 2 to Sinners could be about. What about you? Were there any unanswered questions you had after seeing the movie? Would you like to see a part 2 or even a scripted TV show? What would you like to see be included in a sequel to this movie? Or would you want it to be a prequel? Leave a comment and let me know. Let's get a discussion going. If you like this video, please tap that like button. Share this video so that others may join in on the conversation. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook for content like this and so much more. Once again, I thank you so much for watching, and I wish all the best to you and yours until we meet again.